Hey kiddos, for the last 2 days of this week, Thursday and Friday, we are going to read a book called Seeds of Freedom, The Peaceful Integration of Huntsville, Alabama. Okay. We talked yesterday about what it means to peacefully protest. So think back to yesterday and think about some of the examples. They gave several examples of a peaceful protest. They talked about the sit-ins, marches, things like that people did that were peaceful, meaning they were not aggressive or violent. They were calm, peaceful protests, but yet it allowed people to still get their ideas and feelings across. So when it says peaceful integration, so integration is bringing together. We talked yesterday about things being segregated or separated. We talked about separate parks, separate water fountains. You had to, white people could sit in the front of the bus, black people had to sit in the back of the bus. Different restaurants. We talked about that's separate, that's segregated. Now we're talking about integration. We're talking about Huntsville, Alabama. We're talking about the segregation or bringing together. So the first thing that I want you to do, you can pause it here for a second, is in your packet, there was a map of the United States. Mom and Dad can help you, or you can find Alabama yourself. The abbreviation is AL. I want you to find Alabama, color it one color, find North Carolina, color a different color. This is just for context. I want you to see where we're talking about. This entire book takes place in Huntsville, Alabama. So I want you to see where is Alabama? Where are we talking about? It's in the South. So it is going to be southwest of us. But I want you to see where are we in North Carolina and where is Huntsville, Alabama? That's where this book takes place. So you can pause it a second, color your map. When you're done, come back, hit play, and we'll get started. Okay? Okay, Seeds of Freedom, The Peaceful Integration of Huntsville, Alabama by Hester Bass, illustrated by E.B. Lewis. January 1962. Life is good in the mountains of North Alabama. Huntsville is the space center of the universe. German scientists, enemies of the United States just 20 years before, are working peacefully beside American engineers. Rockets that will take astronauts to the moon are sprouting beside the cotton fields, but these aren't good times for everyone. Okay, so here in the background, you're going to see the rocket. You're going to see the cotton fields. And in case you guys have not seen that, I bought this cotton. See, I planned all this stuff last summer, and I had all of our good stuff that we were going to do. But this is what the cotton looks like. You can kind of just see the little white dots in the picture. But so this is like what cotton looks like when you pick it. That's what it looks like in the field. So here is the cotton. Like what we make clothes out of, little cotton balls that your mom might use to take her makeup off. So it says, but these aren't good times for everyone. So knowing what we've been reading this week, what do you think that means? A girl carries paper pictures of her feet because she won't be allowed to try on shoes. A boy wants to read but cannot use the public library, and a family tries to eat in a restaurant but the owner locks the door in their faces. Huntsville has escaped the violence that has divided some cities into black and white. However, like a lot of places in America, there are invisible lines not to be crossed. But change is in the air. Segregation, which means keeping people separate because of the color of their skin, is on the way out. It's time to bring people together, time to plan, time for action, time to sow the seeds of freedom. So they're talking about sowing the seeds. Sow means like to plant. So they're thinking of freedom as a little plant that's going to grow into a seed, and thinking about just planting that seed. That's when something begins. When a plant begins, it begins as a seed. So this freedom plant that we want to grow, they're going to start planting the seeds, start doing the first things to accomplish this. So here's a picture of a little girl in a shoe store. I'm trying to hope there's such a glare. There we go. There's a little girl in a shoe store, which you guys have probably all been to a shoe store. Here's the shoes that she wants to buy, but she can't try them on. She has to trace her foot on a piece of paper, take that piece of paper into a store, show the salesman, and he's going to try to find the shoe that's the right size. So that's something else that you guys can do. If you want to pause this here, pause it, and get a piece of paper, trace your foot or your shoe, and imagine shopping for shoes that way. Now you guys know what it's like to shop for shoes. You've got to try them on, you've got to walk around in them. Sometimes they look great, but they pinch your foot, they pinch the back of your heel, they rub a little blister. And the only way that you know that, if they're comfortable or not, is when you try them on. What if you can't try them on? Also think about how embarrassing that would feel if you walk into a store and you know that they think that you're not whatever, good enough, clean enough, whatever they think to be able to try on the shoes. I mean, that must be a bad feeling to know that the person next to you can come in and try on any shoes they want, and here you have to bring in this piece of paper. So if you guys want to pause it here, trace your foot, and think about that. Think about what if that's how you had to try on or shop for shoes but not be able to try them on. Young black men and women, students, sit at lunch counters in the stores downtown. They have money and can buy anything in the store except lunch. They can't use the restroom either, just the way it is. These students know they'll be asked to leave, know that if they don't, they'll go to jail. But they sit at these lunch counters day after day. It's called a sit-in, a nonviolent gesture against just the way it is. The seeds of freedom are planted in Huntsville. What will it take to make them grow? So we read yesterday that these lunch counter sit-ins were one of the peaceful protests. So they were not allowed to sit here, but they did it anyway. They came in, sat down, and held their ground, trying to make change. And I've included on the website a photograph of an actual sit-in. So when you go to the website and you're looking at the lesson plans for today, you'll see a photograph of an actual sit-in that took place. As the first American astronaut circles in orbit around the Earth, black men, women, and children circle around the courthouse wearing signs that say things like, "I ordered a hamburger, they served me a warrant," which means that they were arrested. So all they wanted to do was go order a hamburger and they got arrested. "Hungry for justice," which they certainly were, and "children like freedom too." But walking in circles day after day makes them weary of waiting for change. The seeds of freedom need inspiration to grow. So they're still using this metaphor of thinking of freedom as a seed. So it's been planted, but you know, when you plant a seed, you have to take care of it. You can't just throw the seed in the dirt and hope it works out. That's what I do, and that's why my plants never grow, because I don't take care of them the way they should. They need inspiration, they need care, they need water, and so the seeds have been planted, but they need a little more care. The seeds of freedom need inspiration to grow, so a man of peace is invited to Huntsville, a man not very well known yet. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speaks of a time to come when black children and white children will join hands as brothers and sisters. People cheer and rise to their feet, but there's not much in the Huntsville newspaper about it or about anything else that's happening with the civil rights movement in town. Reporters seem to agree that segregation is just the way it is, and that if they keep quiet, maybe all these protests will just go away. But the seeds of freedom need attention to grow, so 3 women decide to do something risky. So again, yesterday you watched the video about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he came to Huntsville, Alabama. And this is another peaceful protest where they're doing the marches and carrying the signs. So it said that 3 women decided to do something risky. Risky means something that's kind of dangerous. It could turn out poorly. They sit down to have lunch together, a college student, a doctor's wife about to have a baby, and the wife of a dentist with a baby girl in her arms. They're quiet and respectful, but because they are black, they are asked to leave. They don't. The police, who don't want this trouble, ask the ladies to go home, but they won't. So the police reluctantly arrest all 3 of them. Well, 4, including the baby. It's hard to keep it quiet when a baby goes to jail. Magazines across the nation report this story, sending a wave of worry across Huntsville. The Rocket City depends on money from the American government to stay busy with the space program, and this kind of news is bad for business. But the seeds of freedom need news to grow. So another plan is hatched. So they were not getting the press coverage that they wanted. Okay, they're having these protests, but nobody really seemed to care. It was not on the front page of the paper. So to get their attention, when you have these 3 women, one who's pregnant and one who's actually got a baby, when they get arrested, that makes the news. Because think about that. Think about arresting a baby. So that made news. The people of Huntsville, black and white, usually did a lot of shopping for Easter. Clothes, hats, shoes, and maybe you guys do that too. I know when I was growing up, it was a big deal every Easter. Got a new Easter dress, a little black patent leather pocketbook, black patent leather shoes. Every year, a new outfit could cost $100, which is a ton back then. So the black leaders of Huntsville asked the black people of the whole county to keep a secret. Shh. They will stand up for freedom by dressing down. Huntsville will have a blue jeans Sunday. In 1962, let's see, I got my blue jeans here. Jeans. So instead of the fancy new dress and hat and black patent leather shoes and fancy things, they decided to wear these. What do you think that's gonna do? Huntsville will have a blue jeans Sunday. In 1962, only farmers wore blue jeans and most women do not wear pants at all. Plus, such a public protest could be dangerous. People might call you names, try to hurt you, or threaten to take your home, your job, or your life. So that's how dangerous it was. To protest in this way was dangerous. You could get hurt, you could get arrested, all kinds of bad things could happen. But the black citizens of North Alabama know that money can talk. So they go out of town, even out of state, to buy $5 blue jeans instead of fancy clothes. Some women buy denim fabric and make skirts. Store owners notice when all those new clothes go unsold. Some people think Huntsville merchants lose about $1 million. And again, that is huge now. It was even bigger back then. A little fresh air and sunshine might just do the trick. So it says Blue Jean Sunday is rich encouragement for the seeds of freedom. A little fresh air and sunshine might just do the trick. So here's a picture of all them on Easter Sunday at church in their blue jeans. So what this meant is, instead of all these people going to the local stores downtown, Huntsville, Alabama, spending $100 on a new fancy hat and dress, they went somewhere else and bought $5 blue jeans. So that really hurt the merchants downtown. They lost a lot of money, like $1 million. So that was peaceful. It was not violent or aggressive, but it got the point across. Okay. All right. So tomorrow.